I've spent over 1,000 hours in fitness, in the gym, working out. But the truth is, at the beginning of this journey, I wasn't really making much gains, not much progress. Though I thought I was, but I really wasn't. Right? I was skipping days and I would call them rest days. I was not even doing all the workouts that I had to do. And I've given so many reasons to this, right? I've talked about the overthinking. If you watch my previous videos, you'll see I've given so many reasons to why I wasn't consistent. I could say I was overthinking. I could say that maybe I didn't have a proper routine, or maybe my diet was lacking. All these things. Maybe I didn't have a proper schedule, all these things. But the truth is, this is something much deeper, right? It's much deeper than that, actually. The biggest reason why I was not consistent actually isn't those things that I've mentioned. Of course, it sometimes is, but there's a real reason why I wasn't consistent in fitness. And the reason why you yourself keep on watching such videos, like getting more consistent in fitness, and the real reason why you aren't consistent in fitness is because of this thing that I'm going to talk about today. All right. So this is the real reason why you still aren't consistent. So if this is your first time watching me, my name is Shaka, and I help young men get more consistent in their fitness journey. And if you're very serious about making progress this year, just book a call with me, like you see here. Book a call with me using the top link in the description, and I'll help you reach your goals. But that's if you're very, very serious. I don't want to work with people who are not very serious. Make sure you're serious if you want to actually level up and get more gains, then book a call with me. So the real reason why I made this video is because about 3 days ago, I went to my homeboy's place and I found him there. He was just there chilling, and I told him, let's go and work out. And he was like, bro, I can't work out today, bro. I can't work out today. He's in the background right now. This nigga knows himself. I'm not going to drop names because you niggas are going to go to his page and call him out. But nah. But I found him there and he was looking so demotivated. And me as me, I want to uplift my friends. I want to make sure that people are working to their fullest potential, just like I do for myself. I woke up to him. I'm like, yo, bro, like, what's up? Like we go. Like, it's time. It's late. And bro is like, oh man, I'm not going to the gym. So I'm like, why? And he didn't really have a real reason. It was just like smoke screens that his brain was coming up with immediately on the spot. Oh man, I don't have. I'm not looking very good. I'm not my best right now. This is not my best and everything. And yet we know that going to the gym has nothing to do with you being your best. So the main reason why you are not consistent, and the main reason why he was not showing up, is because of self-image. So I'm here to talk about self-image. Self-image is a big factor if you want to be more consistent in fitness. I don't skip this. This is very important. If you've been hearing all these gurus talking about self-image, believe in yourself, have a mindset where you care about yourself and all that stuff. You might have the wrong picture. It might be misconstrued of what self-image actually means. So today I'm going to explain to you how self-image can help you stay more consistent in fitness and how you can use it to your advantage. So when I was in university, this was about 2 years ago, I was doing a computer animation certificate or something like that. It was an advanced certificate actually in digital animation. Yeah. And I used to go there and I would show up, those days I just started getting serious with self-improvement. I was watching all these Andrew Tate clips, Hamza clips, these bodybuilding videos and all this stuff. And I was just getting serious on self-improvement. So I used to be that guy who would go to school. And I was so, not necessarily extroverted, but I was the only person who was willing to greet people. I'd walk in, I'm like, hey, what's up, man? What's up? Yo, what's up, bro? What's up? And people are not even greeting each other. When that was the first thing I noticed. I was like, wait, these people don't even talk to each other. It's like everyone was awkward. And I look around in the classroom and people don't even have good physiques. It's like my physique was bad when I look back then, but I felt like my physique was much better than everyone in the classroom. And this is not me being, egotistic or judgmental or proud or something. But the truth is, I was noticing how all these people's, like, the way they presented themselves and everything was so much below me. I don't want to be like egotistic or anything, but you get what I mean. I know you understand what I mean. It was like they were not trying to improve their lives, even their conversations with them, because I would talk to them. Because me, I like to talk to NPCs. I'm okay with that. I would talk to them and I would be like, yo, man, so what are you going to do? What are you going to do this evening? I'm expecting something like, yo, bro, I'm going to hit the gym. Then after that, I'm going to, what some, I don't know. You know what I mean? But the things I would say would always shock me. It's like, yo, man, I'm just going to play some football. I'm just going to watch some football. Watch football. That's what they were going to do. So I felt so out of place. And the reason why I felt this much out of place is because my self image was different. The way I saw myself was completely different. I didn't see myself as one of these university kids, who are suffering. Literally, those guys were forced to be taking those courses, and they were forced in the matrix, basically. They didn't like it. They really didn't like their lives. And I could see it on them. And my self-image was completely different. I was like, nah, this is not my place. I'm not supposed to be here. And so I started missing school days, right? I started missing school days. And if you have African parents, that ain't easy. It's not easy to skip school days, right? You have to lie a bit. So I would say I'm going to school and I wouldn't go to school. And for me, my courses were late in the evening. I was taking evening lectures, meaning they started at around 7 and ended at around 9, which was horrible because it's all the way in town, which is like 2 hours away from here. And I had to ride on my bike all the way there and come back at night. So imagine the days when it was raining. But that's beside the point. So I was there and I decided to like skip some days. I would skip some days. And then I eventually stopped going for a long time. And eventually my parents caught up with this and they approached me and they sat me down. It was like an official moment. If you grow up in an African house, you know what this means. It's like you're being expelled from the house. So they sat me down and they asked me, like, Sobi, what's your plan? I'm like, what? It's so funny. It's like they don't really ask you these questions. They don't even know your plan. So when they ask it, it sounds so funny. It's like, what's your plan? They thought that I was just skipping school and being a bad kid or maybe running around with the wrong people. But the truth is, I was building a business. I was working on my business. I was working on my self improvement. I was working on my fitness. I was actually working on myself. And they sat me down and they're like, like, what's your plan? You haven't been going to school. What? We've noticed that you haven't been going to school. You've been skipping classes. What's going on? What's going on? So I had to tell them. It was not easy. It was not easy at all. But I had to tell them at that moment I was like, let me lock in right now. So I told them that I'd been building a business, that I am trying to actually make some cash so that I can provide for the family and like actually create a difference in my brother's life, my little brother's life, so that he can have a different mindset than the one that has always been put on us in our family. Because it's not enough for me to just overcome that mindset, right? I know I've suffered with that mindset before, that like poor mindset, and it's not enough to just be the one to overcome it, but you also have to help your siblings and those younger ones to overcome it. So I told them that, and at first I didn't really believe it, so I had to pull out the receipts. I went to my brother's room. I got the phone where we have the cash and everything, and I showed my parents that phone, and they saw the cash, and immediately there, it's like they never disturbed me about going to school ever again. Before that, it was, why are you not going to school? When are you going to school? When do your lectures start? When are your lectures starting? Are they? Oh God, it was a problem. Have you finished your coursework? No, I'm tired. But then after that, it was silence. They never disturbed me again. I showed them the receipts. They were like, oh, this is. Now, the reason why I was able to do that compared to those other people who are in my classroom, the people I was sitting next to, the people I was calling friends. The reason why I was able to do that is because my self-image is different. I don't think of myself the same as the way those guys think of themselves, right? For them, they're just they think that they are parents' pets, they are teachers' pets, they are government pets. They think of themselves as pets. I don't think of myself as a pet. I've never thought of myself as a pet. Ever since I was a child, I've never thought like that. So why should I start thinking about myself like that at this age when it can actually detriment my entire future? Like we all have big dreams and goals, but your self-image is what actually makes them come alive. So that's how self-image actually helped me to drop out of university and actually pursue a career for myself. Like, come on, man. You know what? You know what young men were doing back then at our age? Young men back then, I'm 21. So young men of 21 years old of long ago, man, they were married. They were married with like two wives, like four kids. They were providing for the kids. They were hunting. They were going out to like, do men's business. So I felt so bad just passively sitting down and taking a course that was not actually building me as a man. So I needed to actually pursue my own career, try to learn personal branding, try to learn how to improve my physicality, my body game, and everything. Try to learn building a business as well. All this stuff. These were skills that I had to suffer with at that specific time that are making me a better man right now and in the future. All right. So I remember this other time when my brother, I have a brother of mine. I won't say his name because I'm sure he's going to watch this, but he's a rapper, right? And he doesn't go to the gym because he's a rapper. So one time he came to the gym and we're here, and the conversation went into this kind of like, we're talking about fitness and we're talking about physicality and everything. And we asked him why he doesn't work out. And he had so many excuses. Of course, we've had these excuses. There's so many excuses. Oh, I just don't feel like it. Oh, no, it's just like, like, yeah, okay, I will. Like in the future, I will. Yeah, no, maybe like, it's like so many excuses. But we tackled all those excuses. I tackled every single one of those excuses, made sure that all those excuses were shown to be an excuse. They were shown to be what they were, excuses. And eventually, it came down to one main excuse. There was a last thing that he said. He said, bro, I just don't see myself as strong in the future. And I had that, and immediately that just shut it down. I was like, okay. Because the truth is, you cannot convince someone to do something if their self-image doesn't align towards it. Immediately at that moment, I was like, yeah, it's done. Like it's done. It's done. Because if that person does not see themselves as something specific, let's say if you don't see yourself as strong, as masculine, as having a very, very attractive presence as a man, as being dominant, if you don't see yourself like that, then you have you have no reason to actually put in the work and to be consistent in those habits that are getting you towards that, that persona that you want to get, that image that you're trying to get. So your self-image has to change for you to see yourself different, for you to actually put in that work. So at that moment with my brother, I was like, man, like if he doesn't see himself as strong, how am I going to convince him to work out? He doesn't want to be strong. He doesn't want to. He wants to be weak. He wants to be crushed for the rest of his life. It's okay. Maybe that's just the phase he's in right now. Eventually, he'll realize that when something happens, God forbid, when something very detrimental happens to someone he loves or to himself, that's when he'll realize that strength is what it's what gives you that resilience to go through those moments. And it's what gives you the capability to handle those tough situations. That you need to have that physical strength, which is also, you can't act like it's not also mental strength. When you're building your muscles, you're also building the brain. The brain is also a muscle. Never forget that. That's a big example for me. Like that's a big example for me to why, like, he was not even even getting into fitness in the first place. Not that he was not consistent, but he wasn't getting into fitness because he doesn't see himself like that. I and I remember this one girl. I remember this one girl that I dated, man. Yeah. So I had this one girl that I dated. It was about 2 years ago, and I don't even know where I met her. I think I met her on IG. Oh God, like bro, you already know the girls that you meet on IG are never quality. But I met her on IG. Her pics were looking nice. I slid, man. Wagwan. I don't slide at that. It only works for fitness guys. Get don't just be like wagwan. Now you have to put a bit of sauce. But I slid in. I was like wagwan, and me and her ended up talking. She replied. We ended up talking and everything. Turns out she stayed a bit close to my place. So we used to link up and everything. And she had a good vibe. She was a good girl. She was small, petite, thick as hell. But it was this one thing. And for me, this thing is a deal breaker. Like, for me, this thing actually disturbs me. There are these red flags that you can ignore, but there are those red flags you cannot ignore. Right? There are those red flags that just cover all the green flags. Go on. All the greens are looking red now. Certain red flags. And for every guy, it's different. But for me, this is the specific one that turns me off completely. And she had the reason why that red flag was that she had TikTok brain. TikTok brain. That's what I call it. TikTok brain. Brain rot. Her brain was rotted. Like, literally. This girl couldn't think. She couldn't think of something for more than 2 seconds. She couldn't, man. 2 seconds, her brain has switched. It was crazy. It was like dealing with a person with mental illness. And at that time, I was very serious with my meditations. I was meditating twice a day for about 10 to 15 minutes each. So I was very present. It was my most present time of my life. So imagine, it's like, I don't know if you've seen that video of Speed actually becoming a monk and everything like that. Imagine a monk, a monk having to deal with Speed. Speed is all like, chat, chat, chat. And the monk is like, you shall keep quiet. You shall be quiet. Like, I was a monk. She was Speed. Or should I say Sped? I don't know. But she was crazy. I was so calm and collected. And her brain was all over the place. And she would check her phone like every few minutes. Not saying I'm boring, because I know I'm not a boring person. I have personality. So it's not that fault. It's not the fault of being boring. But she would check the phone. So I knew she was addicted to it. And I could see the way she behaved, the way she talked, everything was giving TikTok. It's too TikTok. Because I was also addicted to TikTok. I beat that addiction about 2 years ago. Man, 2 years ago was crazy. 2 years ago, I beat my TikTok addiction properly. Now I have TikTok, but I don't even scroll it. I don't even open it. I only open it when I'm repurposing these clips from these long form videos that I do. But she had TikTok brain and it really turned me off. And I was like, oh my God. So you know what I tried to do? You know what I tried to do? You already know. I tried to change her. What did J. Cole say? J. Cole said it. J. Cole said it. He said, "Don't change her. She don't want to be. Bro. Don't save her. She don't want to be saved. She don't want to be saved, bro. I don't try to save a girl. It's the worst thing you can do. But I tried to save her, bro. I was in my Jesus mode. I was feeling Jesus prime. You know what I mean? Like, I tried to save that girl. I told her, look, you're going to start meditating. You're going to start meditating twice a day. You're going to start doing exercise every single day. I don't want you to skip the gym. And you have to quit using your phone as much. You have to go on a dopamine detox." So this worked. Until the next day. Oh my God, man. Oh man. It lasted like a few hours, man. She did it for like a day after that. But the next time I would see her, because I couldn't see her often, you see, with such girls, You have to keep them at a distance. You see them once a week, once a month. You can't see them often. You don't make it a habit because their mental issues will rub off on you. So I would see her once in a while. And she would tell me, oh man, I've been meditating, but I've been skipping the gym. I'm like, okay, cool. Next time I see her, I've been running. I've been walking. It's always walking. It's not even actually Jimmy. It's like I've been walking, but I've been skipping meditation, and I've been scrolling. Oh God, Jesus Christ! And you see, the thing is, you should never be the coach in your relationship, man. You shouldn't be the coach. Don't be the coach. Right? Let me tell you something. I stopped being interested in her. Right? I lost interest in her, and mainly because of all this. Like she was really just going down a bad path, degenerate path, and I didn't like it. And I lost interest in her. And eventually, when I started being called to her, she called me. This is like way after a few weeks. She called me. She's like, I stopped doing everything you told me. She's like, I stopped doing everything you told me. Every single thing you told me. I stopped doing it. I stopped meditating. I stopped working out. I stopped doing all of that because I hate you. Because I hate you. What? I'm like, oh God. So I realized one thing. Her self-image was completely off. Her self-image was not even. She was not thinking of herself as that queen that I saw her to be. See, the thing is, as guys, sometimes we date women we see their potential. Then we're like, yeah, she could be a baddie. So I'm gonna bag her right now and turn her into a baddie. But it's not gonna happen. She will not change. She's not gonna change. You should find a woman who is already doing those things that you want in a woman. Don't think that you're going to teach a woman things. Right? Maybe if you're in your 50s, you're rich as hell, and you get yourself a little 19, 18-year-old girl. Yeah, maybe you can teach her things. But you, who's watching this video, nah. Don't teach women things. Find a girl who's already on the right path, meet her, and go towards your goals together. You get what I mean? So her self-image was off. The way she saw herself was not like the kind of girl who would do those kinds of things that I was talking about, the meditations, the workouts, all that stuff. And me, my self-image was completely different. For me, I was thinking every single day I wake up and I'm thinking, how can I improve myself? Like, she doesn't do that. Most girls don't do that, right? Okay, the high quality girls do that, but she wasn't doing that. TikTok brain wouldn't even allow her to do that. She can't even get time to think of how to improve herself. No, she's eating Cheetos, eating all these snacks and everything. She's drinking soda, all this stuff. She's getting worse. I'm getting better. Why? Self-image, bro. Self-image. Let me write it down here. Self-image. Self. Self-image. Yeah. It's the biggest reason why most people are inconsistent. And the biggest reason why I myself was skipping all those workouts. And also the biggest reason why I am now consistent. You see, self-image is like a double-edged sword, right? It can either hurt you or it can help you. If you see yourself as the kind of person who does this stuff, you will do this stuff. If you see yourself as the kind of person who doesn't, you will not. All right. So I wrote down a couple of pointers here on how you can update your self-image this year. All right. Quickly, actually, not this year. Why am I saying this year? That's too long. Today, this is how you're going to change your self-image. Today, after watching this video, you're going to think of yourself completely differently using these few steps. All right. So let me write this down. How to update your self-image. So, first of all, I'll put it right here. Avoid self-harm. The first way, number one, Number one, and by the way, we hear this a lot from a lot of successful people. How did they actually change and make their success? Avoiding self-harm. You've had those stories of guys who, when they quit alcohol, suddenly they started making money. You've had those stories of people who, when they hit the gym and they stopped being lazy, suddenly they started making more money, or they started getting girls, or their life started basically improving and everything. Self-harm, self-harm, self-harm means all those bad habits that you do to yourself that hurt you, that feel good now. This comes down to gratification, instant gratification and delayed gratification. So self-harm activities are those activities that are quick and easy, but they lead you down a bad path, right? So I'll give an example of, let me put an example here of porn and bad food. This marker is horrible. And I'll also give the example of wasting time. Each one of these, I have suffered with each one of them. Every single one of them, I've suffered with them because, well, it's all about the traumas that you go through, when it comes to self-harm, traumas, therapy stuff, that when you are growing up as a child, certain things happen to you when you are at a very young age that have made you harm yourself because you don't feel like you're enough. You don't see yourself like you're enough, right? I told you it's self-image. You don't see yourself as enough. You don't see yourself as worthy of love. So what do? You hurt yourself because you are also hurt as a child by the people that you love, and you know that you love yourself, so you hurt yourself. So self-harm comes from not loving yourself enough. And we do this in so many ways. For example, porn. How do you feel after you've finished like beating your meat? How do you feel? You feel good? You feel like ready to start your day? You feel hyped? What do I hear? I hear this in the gym community. Oh, bro, I edge before my sets. What do you mean? How do you feel after? How do you feel after that session? How do you feel after that edging session, bro? Is it nice? No, it's not. The truth is, it's not. The reason why is because even your body feels shameful of it. Your body doesn't feel happy that you have done something like that. Though, after sex, you feel good. You feel pretty good after sex compared to when you've done it by yourself. So, watching porn is horrible. Watching porn is very bad for your self image because it hurts your self image. You see, the thing is, when you watch porn, it it makes you like a cuck. You don't think of, you get the dopamine from watching someone else um actually fuck the girl that you want or that you're interested in, rather than you doing it yourself. So it makes you a cuck. It puts you in that mindset of like somebody who just watches. You watch other people. You know what I mean? You're not the dominant person who goes out and actually does it. So when you get rid of porn, you go out and you actually do it, do what you need to do, the needful. You know what I mean? That'll help you stop self-harming yourself with porn. Also, bad food is a big, 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 big self-harm. It's so big. When you eat bad food, like basically your gains are at risk. Your gains are at so much risk. Number one, bad food makes you sick. Like when you eat that oily food. And when I say bad food, I'm talking about over processed foods, like over processed sugars. I'm talking about oils, all these oils, especially seed oils. I'm talking about foods that are high in carbs, very high in carbs, those calorie dense meals. That's bad. Anything that's over processed basically is bad food. I think that's the worst kind of food. So when you eat that kind of food, the way you see yourself is completely different. You see yourself as the kind of person who eats this kind of food. That's the reason why your self image is bad. Because even the results, your body, when you look at your body, you will not be having this. You'll not be having any of that because you've been eating the bad food. So it's self harm, it's messing up your self image. And it's the biggest reason why, actually, it's one of the reasons why you're not consistent. Then Let's talk about wasting time. Wasting time. This is a big one. This is a huge one. Wasting time doesn't just mean sitting down. You know that you can actually be working but wasting time. If you're doing work that's on these small leverage tasks, these quick dopamine tasks that are making you feel productive, right? Like changing your profile picture, or like just showing up to the gym and doing like one set or something. That kind of work where you think you're being productive, you think that, oh, I just showed up. Yeah, it's good to show up. It's good to be consistent. No, no, it's not good to waste time. That's wasting time. That's still wasting time. You're supposed to be working on the highest leverage things all the time. You should be working on something high leverage. Don't waste time. Don't spend time not building yourself, especially as a man. You're obligated to build yourself as a man. You're not supposed to be just there wasting time, just sitting around watching movies. Yeah, it's okay to watch a movie, but don't make it a habit. Don't make all these bad things a habit. Right? Who says I don't eat bad food? Who says that, like, everyone eats bad food, but people don't eat, not everyone eats bad food as a habit. Can you imagine there's people eating that bad food, the one that you have in your head? People are eating that every single day. Like, how are they even still alive? You know what I mean? But, like once a month, I could indulge on like a birthday or something. I could eat some bad food. You know what I mean? If it's porn, hey, come on, man. Some of us have been addicted for so long. Sometimes you can relapse. You can relapse, like, when you don't expect it. And if it's wasting time, many times we are not following our schedule. And because we're not following our schedule, we waste time. But we shouldn't make this stuff a habit. Avoid self harming yourself, especially as a habit. It's very bad. The next way that you can update your self image is listen to podcasts. So I'm sure that you've seen me preaching this in almost every video. Podcast changed my life, honestly. Podcast changed my entire life. When I wasn't listening to podcasts, I was a nobody. I listened to podcasts, I'm someone. Like, when I started listening to podcasts, I was listening to comedy podcasts and useless podcasts like entertainment, and I was not really taking it seriously. But then I started watching these podcasts of people who talk about improving yourself. For example, I'll give you so many examples. Actually, I'm going to list them after I've talked about how podcasts changed my life. When I started listening to podcasts, and when I say listening to podcasts, I'm talking about I was like listening to it instead of music. I used to listen to music 24/7. One of those people. You've seen those guys who always have music playing. That's brain rot. Literally, if you keep on playing music all the time, it's brain rot, because the music frequencies that you listen to, most cases, are not high frequencies, and they're not like those godly frequencies. Usually it's distorted frequencies that put you in this, like, unsettled state, put your brain in that kind of mindset. That's why people listen to such, like hip hop music in the gym and everything. It puts you in that kind of unsettled mind. It gets you anxious and everything. But when I replace that kind of music with some podcasts, for example, I'll listen to a podcast in the morning. I'll take a walk when I wake up and listen to a podcast, like a 15-minute podcast or a 20-minute podcast or a 30 or even an hour podcast. And man, oh man, it changed my life. That's why I got all the game. Hold on, let me take a sip. I discovered podcasts like the Andrew Tate podcast. He doesn't have a specific podcast, of course, but they have some shows on Rumble. And back then there were like episodes of his podcasts on Apple Podcasts. I've been using Apple Podcasts ever since I started. That's the default podcast app. If you don't have that, you can use Spotify as well. If you live in a different country. For me, in my country, Spotify doesn't have podcasts. I don't even know why. That's racist, but it's okay. That's a topic for another day. It's fine. I'll allow it. I'll allow it this time. But Yeah, I started listening to podcasts like Andrew Tate. I started listening to Hamza. At that time, Hamza had just blown up. I started listening to people like Mike Thurston, people like Chris Williamson. I started listening to all these different podcasts, and I was always indulging. Whenever I find a new person, I would move on to another person. Like if I discover Bedros Koulian, then after that, I would discover Wes Watson. Then after that, I would discover Alex Hormozy. Then after, you know what I mean? I kept on going down the rabbit hole of podcasts, and now my podcast list is full. I'm actually gonna. That's a photo of. Yeah, you can see that's literally that's all my podcasts that are downloaded. That's just my downloaded library. So yeah, the podcast really changed my life. And that's when I actually started doing all the things that I needed to do: the fitness, the business, the health, and everything, the lifestyle. I got all that from podcasts. And not just podcasts, because when I say podcasts, you might think I'm just talking about podcasts. But let me add it here. And YouTube. Listen to podcasts and watching YouTube have completely changed my self image. Completely. When I see other people relate with their audience in a specific way, relate with us or talk to us, like these creators, the Luke Belmars, all these guys, when I see the way that they actually speak to their audience, it helps me also understand that certain things about myself. Not just from the way they do it, but even the words that they say. The things that those self-improvement creators talk about. Those things will help you change your self-image. They'll talk about things like we've talked about, like the self-harm, not self-harming. They'll talk about not wasting time, all that stuff. All this stuff is so important. And I got this from podcasts and YouTube. Though YouTube might be an addiction for you. So don't do too much YouTube. YouTube is, let's say that's brain rot. Podcast is clean. That's clean energy. This is dirty energy, clean energy. Podcasts, because they're not so stimulating on the brain. So if you're kind of doing like a dopamine detox and you don't want to be so hyper stimulated, then you should listen to podcasts. Podcasts will help you. They're perfect. And they don't get you too, anxious and everything. Because staring at a YouTube video can get tiresome. You find yourself scrolling to the comments, all this stuff. It's bad. So I've given examples of podcasts, but I need to list them out here so that you can get them for yourself. Listen to them, the ones that have actually changed my life. So I'll put them right here. Hold on. Let me put it right here. I don't know if you can see. Hamza, number 1. Number 2, Tate Brothers. Number 3, I'll say Bedros Koulian. Number 4, Luke Belmar. Man, I have a lot. Who else? I'll say Wes Watson. Number 6. I wonder who's going number 6. Let's say Hormozy. Hormozy. I haven't listened to Hormozy for so long. Yeah. I think these are my top podcasts. So make sure you're listening to good podcasts. Don't listen to brain rot. Don't spend your time listening to music. Replace music with a good habit. That's podcast. If you're going to listen to music, do it at least afternoon hours, evening hours. That's fine. But in the morning, dedicate your mornings to podcasts. Listen to podcasts. Every time you wake up in the morning, the first thing that should enter your mind is a podcast. Don't spend your morning scrolling on your phone. Don't grab your phone and then spend your morning like scrolling on your phone, because that is going to give you the self-image of a loser. The podcasts, like these ones I've mentioned, will give you the self-image of a winner. Let me just put an arrow here to show that it's a podcast. In case this is the podcast. These are gonna give you that self-image of a winner to start your day and for you to be consistent in fitness. So listen to podcasts. Very important. We also talked about avoiding self-harm. Yeah. Then here I wrote down some points here. Let me just see. The third point is third point, the third reason, the third way that you can update your self-image is put in the reps. Put in the reps. You've had this one. When I talk about putting in the reps, I'm talking about taking action, raw action, like actually putting in the work. You see, it's one thing to have that self-image and to lie to yourself about all these things, right? Like for example, when I just started going to public gyms, like Alpha Gym, the gym that I started going to when I just started my fitness journey, I would go there and I would walk in and I wouldn't even look at people because I felt like I'm in a grind mindset. Grind mindset. That was an excuse because I was shy. I was actually shy and socially awkward. So I would go in wearing my shades, maybe headphones. What do you want to talk to people? I just go and do my workout, acting like people are watching me. Yet no one was watching me. That's the truth. No one's like no one's looking. You be acting like people are watching you, trying to look cool, quiet as hell in your corner. And then you leave the gym, you feel like, yeah, that was hard. It was not. That was bad. Like, imagine how I looked, to other people at that time. Awkward, very awkward, right? But what I did was I decided to put in the reps. Number one, I recognized that I was awkward. I recognized that this was actually a problem. Then I decided to greet at least one person every time I went to the gym. So I went to the gym, I greet one person. Hi, yo, my guy, what's up, what's up, what's up? Eventually, from greeting one person, because that person, you will see them again the next time you go. So that person's your friend now. You greet another person, another person. The weeks go by, and suddenly every guy in the gym is your friend. And the only people who you're not talking to are the people like the people who you're not like friends with, are the people who have just come on that specific day that you've gone. So now it's easier for me then to talk to women in the gym because I'm friends with the guys. So I walk in, I'm like, hey, my guy, what's up? What's up? This is like a couple of months after that time when I was shy. I'm walking in the gym, I'm greeting everyone, I'm talking to the coach. First, I'm greeting the receptionist. She's happy, she's being like feminine as hell. I'm talking to the coach, I'm asking him about certain things, I'm learning from him. I'm walking around, I'm asking different people about different things. Like my aura was completely different. I was not moving like a simpleton. I was not moving like a mogul. I was not moving like a normal guy anymore. I was moving like as if I was part of the gym community, which completely skyrocketed my self-image. You see, the way I was seeing myself was completely different when I put in those reps, when I started actually walking up to people and saying hi. Then I eventually started going up to the ladies, which was obviously harder. It's much harder to go up to a lady than a guy. It's so easy for a guy, like, yo, gee, what's up, what's up, what's up. But like for a lady, it's like, you know what I mean? Like you have to cook. You have to cook. So I started like also saying hi to the ladies. And I also got some lady friends as well in the same gym. That's completely changed my self-image. I started seeing myself as more of a confident person. I started seeing myself as an athlete, who has an athlete family. And that ultimately got me more consistent in the gym. So put in those reps. I put in those reps. Let me give you a quote. Let me give you a beautiful quote here. This is a very important quote. Confidence, confidence without clarity breeds confusion. Oh, confusion. Confusion. Confidence without clarity breeds confusion. My name is Steve Barnett from the Diary of a CEO. So, confidence without clarity breeds confusion. What does this mean? If you think that you're going to get confident without actually putting in those reps, you're going to be confused. Because your brain knows one thing, your body knows one thing. Your body doesn't know putting in the reps, it doesn't know putting in the work, it doesn't know actually showing up to the gym, it doesn't know all those things. But your brain is like, oh no, like I'm confident, I'm gonna show up. What eventually you don't even end up showing up properly. You don't even end up doing what you need to do. You end up skipping your workout, all that stuff, because you don't have the clarity. The clarity is built from competence, right? Man, these are too many C's, man. Too many C's. Competence. I don't even know if it can be seen on the screen. But the clarity is built from competence. Competence means going out and actually taking action and getting in those reps. So for you to actually build your self-image and update your self-image this year, not even this year, today, as we said, for you to actually update your self-image today, you need to be putting in those reps, those reps in every single area of life, not just fitness, right? Because of course, fitness, when you put in those reps, you're building your body. And when you have a bigger body, you're more likely to go to the gym and to be consistent because you've now affirmed it to your self-image. Your self-image is now that of an athlete, that of a bodybuilder or something like that, whatever you're trying to achieve in your life. All right. So I know you're trying to be an athlete, but bodybuilder, not everyone's trying to be a bodybuilder, So putting in the reps will help you, like, in every single aspect of life. You should always practice. This comes down to practice. This is practice. You know what I mean? Then, last but not least, we've talked about avoiding self-harm. That's porn, bad food, wasting time, and there are other self-harm things. But I'm sure you don't drink. How are you drinking in 2025? So I didn't write alcohol there. Like, what are you doing? Are you serious? like, come on, right? Like you gotta be joking. Like, come on, drinking like you taking shots. 2025, taking shots, really, really, bro. You're in the club like this, bro, while another nigga pours it down your throat. Come on, man. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Niggas want to go. You niggas want to go down like Diddy, but all right, bro. So the fourth way that you can update your self-image today is to visualize. Nigga, what is that? A Z? Yo, what is this? Visualize and affirm. So visualize and affirm. Now, one thing that I've noticed in my life is that whenever things are going wrong, not just things are going wrong, but whenever there's pressure in my life, like for example, I have to get done with something, like I have some work that needs to be done, like I have a workout to do, that negative self-talk starts filling my mind immediately. Whenever I'm scared, negative self-talk starts filling my mind. Oh no, like, oh no, you're going to suffer. Oh, just take a rest day, just rest, just relax. No, it's not that serious. You don't have to show up to the gym today. No, man, you already messed up. You don't have to do your workout. No, it's not important. You've already messed. Come on. All that is what they call self-talk. That is self-talk. My self-talk was horrible. I was talking to myself in a bad way. But when I started listening to podcasts, I started hearing a lot about the concept of self-talk and the power of words. You guys have heard about this, right? The power of words. Even the Bible itself talks about this in Genesis, right? That God spoke the universe into existence. He spoke things into existence. So the power of words, that the tongue is so important. It's so powerful that what you tell yourself actually determines your whole life. So if you want to be able to have a different self-image and to look at yourself in a more improved way, like someone who is actually useful to yourself and to others, then you need to be having that self-talk. My self-talk was bad. When I started listening to the podcasts, man, the affirmations changed. All my affirmations changed. The way I would talk about myself completely changed. I started talking about myself like I'm a warrior. I started thinking of myself like I'm a king. I'm a knight. I am like basically, you know what I mean? Like I'm a lion, you know what I mean? You have those self-talks. When you have those affirmations, you tell yourself such things. In moments of pressure, in moments of stress, those are the things that are gonna actually help you to get out of that situation and to get out of that rut or whatever pressure you're going through. You need to start speaking to yourself differently. When I started speaking to myself differently, that's when I actually start making the progress that I make. So every time that I'm going to work out now, I listen to some motivational speeches. I listen to something motivational, something that tells me that's full of affirmations, like some David Goggins. You know what I mean? David Goggins. David Goggins is the hardest man alive. Beautiful stuff. Watch him if you don't watch David Goggins. But I listen to some David Goggins because of how he speaks. David Goggins speaks in affirmations. He doesn't just talk. He doesn't just talk about uh, other things and doesn't tell you what to do. He says, I knew I had to do this because I'm the hardest man alive. I knew I had to do this. I had to do this. I've been waiting. You know what I mean? Like he's talking about I this, I this. All that is self-talk. Look at the biggest people that you know. Look at Andrew Tate. Why Andrew Tate is actually very famous? It's because of that guy's affirmations. It's like, I'm a billionaire, you're nothing. I've been doing, I've worked so hard. All this monumental wealth of mine, all this stuff. I have all these cars, 15 baby mamas. It's all these affirmations. All these things are contributing to his self-image, the way he sees himself, the way he perceives himself. And the funny thing about self-image, let me even write this down. The thing about self-image is the world sees you as you see yourself. That's the thing about self-image. I'll put there. Shaka. Yeah, that's a quote. Hey, put that on Threads, put that on Twitter, put that on X. The world sees you as you see yourself. Like we're talking about the self-image. The reason why those people end up being seen as high status, high value people is because they also see themselves like that. They also speak about themselves like that. They talk about themselves as high status, as everything, because the world truly sees you for who you see yourself to be. The world isn't here to judge you for, like from a different perspective. The world sees you as you think you are. You know what I mean? So make sure that you have that positive self-talk. It's so, 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 so important. So, man, we've been going at it for real. So, visualize. When I say visualize, that means I like to do a couple of minutes before my workout. I like to visualize myself when I'm walking here to the gym. I like to visualize myself actually doing that workout and killing it and actually taking it seriously and being social and talking to people and everything like that. And when I visualize myself like that, it's so easy for me to be confident. It's so easy for me to have the self-image of an athlete, of a confident person, of a masculine man. Like I see it in my head while I'm walking. And the funny thing is, you cannot visualize if you don't have silence in your area. You cannot do visualizations and affirmations if your brain is brain rot, if your TikTok brain. No, you need silence. Silence. Let me write that down. Silence. Listen. Silence. You need silence to be able to unlock your visualization and affirmations mode. What do I mean by this? So the thing is, visualization is not very easy. It's a task that requires a lot of mental processing. For you to actually use your imagination to see something that hasn't happened and you're bringing it into like reality, kind of like manifestation, that uses a lot of brain capability. And you cannot do that if your mind is you're just scrolling on your phone or you're just like wasting time, distracting yourself. You need to have a sense of silence. You need to sit down, meditate, right? Journal, all these things. They're going to give you that silence. And when you have silence, your brain will start to visualize good things and you'll be able to also control your mind, control your thoughts. so that you can be able to visualize the best self that you want for that given like moment. So that's what I like to do. I like to have that silence like before I'm gonna do a good a crazy activity like working out or something. I like to have my silence where I visualize myself actually killing the workout, being confident and everything. And I use the affirmations, which is the self talk. Did I write here self talk? Now, let me write that down. That's the self talk. Affirm is a self talk. So I use that self talk. It's very, very important. Man, if I'm being honest with you, man, the number of fat people, fat individuals, not even fat, obese individuals who have had, who keep saying this one thing. This thing keeps pissing me off. I hear it mostly from unhealthy people, people who are not fit. They say this one thing. They say, bro, I'm trying to lose weight. Or you see someone who is very, very broke, very poor, and he's saying, I'm trying to get money. And what this does is it puts you in a state of need and desire. And because you're of need of that thing, it makes you look like you don't have it. So what you're telling yourself when you say, I am trying to lose weight or I'm trying to build muscle, when you say something like that, you actually affirm to yourself that you're a fat person or you're someone who is skinny. You're not someone who can actually lose that weight or put on that muscle. But when I see the people who say something different from that, what they say is, instead of saying I'm trying to lose weight, they say I am losing weight. Or instead of saying I'm trying to gain muscle, they say I am gaining muscle. I'm working hard. I'm gaining muscle. It's completely different self-talk. The person who says I'm gaining muscle is an athlete. The person who says I'm trying to gain muscle is a nobody. He's just a guy who's just chilling. He's just trying, meaning he will forever keep trying. He will always keep trying. But the person who says I'm gaining muscle is gonna gain muscle because he's gaining muscle. He's accepted it. He's accepted that reality into his current reality. So your visualizations and your affirmations, that self-talk is so important. Don't speak to yourself in the wrong way. If you wouldn't say it to your mother, don't say it to yourself. You know what I mean? Have that positive self-talk. Love yourself via the way that you see yourself and the words that you say. I so man, I've covered 4 ways that you can update your self-image, because your self-image, as we've talked about, is the main reason why you aren't consistent, why you're still skipping workouts and having to watch videos like this. Like, you need to improve your self-image. And we talked about that you can do that by avoiding self-harm. That means get rid of these bad habits or reduce them, at least. If you still have the addictions or something, reduce them. Take it easy. And then listening to podcasts, I have listed my favorite podcast right here. This is value. This is $1,000 worth of value. More than that, even, considering what these guys charge for their master classes. But then we move on to the putting in of the reps. That means taking action, being someone who actually stands on business, standing on business. And we talked about how confidence without clarity will breed confusion. That means that you need to actually put in that work and to see those results for you to feel the confidence, for you to have an updated self-image, for you to stay consistent in the fitness. And then we talked about how that clarity is built from competence. Competence meaning the work that you do, the actions that you take. That's what's going to give you that clarity for you to be confident enough and to have that self-image, that positive self-image. And then lastly, we talk about visualizing your best self before your activity, visualizing and doing that in silence, having that silent environment, somewhere that's conducive, somewhere that's good enough for you to sit down, or maybe even when you're taking a walk, no music, where you can visualize yourself at your best to wherever you're going to. Like if you're going to the gym, you visualize yourself like killing that workout completely. Then also having those self-talk, having that positive self-talk, those affirmations, making sure that you're speaking to yourself in the right way. Don't speak to yourself like you're a loser. Don't say, I'm trying to build muscle. No, I'm not trying to build muscle. I am building muscle. Don't speak to yourself like, don't say, I'm tired. Say, I'm just getting warmed up. I'm getting warmed up. You see, it's different from saying I'm tired. Someone can say I'm tired. The other one can say I'm getting warmed up. Both of them are tired, but one of them is actually going to make them the move and actually going to make progress and to stay consistent. Right. So make sure that you're using each one of these things, especially the podcast, man. The podcasts are so important. Podcasts are going to give you more information than I could ever give you in this video that I've just shown you. So the podcasts are so important. But this is exactly how you build your self-image. I don't know if you're going to find all this stuff anywhere else. This is from my head. This time I was like, you know what? Let me give you guys that real value. So if you're humble enough to actually seek help this time, then I will personally help you to achieve consistency in the gym and to actually build it as a proper habit that you don't skip, a habit that you don't miss by you booking a call with me in the top link, using the top link in the description. So scroll down, click that link, book a call with me, and let's talk, and I'll help you achieve your goals. Thank you so much for watching.